What is up, everybody? It's Sir Tesla Gamer here. Today we're going to be talking about how to not be an Overwatch noob. So we have a list of 10 things that you need to either start doing or stop doing if you want to stop being an Overwatch noob. So let's get into it. To get us started, we have avoid feeding by grouping up with your team. So feeding is so terrible. It's such a big noob mistake because you're not only giving the enemy team ult charge, but you're also staggering yourself, keeping your team weak. So you want to make sure that you're grouped up. You have your supports, you have your DPS, you have your tank. You want to all five push in together at the same time. It's super essential. This is literally one of the most important things that you have to start doing if you want to climb. Up next, we have diversify your hero pool. So in general, in the lower ranks, people typically recommend that you kind of just one trick, pick one hero and kind of main them and just really climb with that hero. And that is definitely still the way to go. But in general, there are going to be times when you're going to want to counter pick. There's going to be times when that one hero isn't really cutting it. You're going to maybe want to have one or two backups that you can kind of fall back to if needed. So you're going to want to diversify your hero pool. You're going to want to kind of practice those heroes. Go into quick play. Make sure you feel comfortable with them. So if you do have to make that swap, you're actually getting value out of it. Next, we have watch your positioning. So it's not always your healer's fault that you didn't get healed. Sometimes you literally just took 2 steps and suddenly your healers aren't able to heal you anymore. So you need to absolutely be mindful of your positioning. Make sure that your healers are able to heal you. If you have a Kiriko, hey, maybe your Kiriko is going to be able to kind of teleport to you and help you out. But more often than not, if we have Lifeweaver, Ana, Baptiste, these heroes, it's incredibly difficult for them to heal you if you just say turn a corner, things like that. So you want to be mindful of that. Be mindful of where your healers are. Be mindful of where you move. This next one's mostly for the tanks, but DPS should be following suit as well. Make sure you're taking space. This especially applies on payload maps. You should not just be sitting on the payload, just kind of waiting for the enemy team to come to you. You should be up there. You should take that space and force them to fight you all together as a team or stagger into you. If you're not taking space on payload maps, you are essentially guaranteeing the enemy team can start to fight on their terms. You do not want that. You want to start to fight on your terms, especially if you're running a dive comp. If you have a dive comp and you're not taking space, you're not diving properly because you want to be starting to fight on your terms. Up next, we have stop peeking or pushing in while critical. It is so frustrating as a support hero to literally have, let's say, a Soldier 76, a Widowmaker, whatever, standing right in front of you. They're critical, you're healing them up, but they're still not quite full health, and then they just peek and get shot and killed, and boom, they're dead. So stop doing that, okay? If you're not full health and you have healers who are on you, let them heal you up and then go back out into the fight. Now I know obviously you can't always afford to do that, but when you have time, let's say you already took plenty of space with your team, let's say you're on a payload map like we were talking about, your team took plenty of space, right? You can maybe even fall back a little bit if you have to and get healed up. That is more important. Okay, make sure you get healed up before you go back out. And now, with the new changes, you can even just heal yourself if you just stay out of combat for a bit. This next one is super important. You need to stop over ulting. So myself personally, I like to play a lot of tank. Tank ults are very powerful. Sometimes I open up the fight with a tank ult, let's say like a Reinhardt Earth Shatter, something like that. And then boom, my team uses the other 4 ults that we had. You want to avoid this. You want to make sure that you always have some ults to cycle through. Over ulting just means that your enemy team is not going to be able to just push you in confidently knowing that you have no ults. So they might not even have to use any ults to push you in. For this next one, do your healers a favor and play around cover. Especially on payload and push maps, there's absolutely no excuse. You literally have an objective that provides you with cover. So use those corners, use the payload, use the robot, use whatever you have around you for cover. Don't just stand out in the open getting shot by the entire enemy team. Okay, this isn't Overwatch 1 when we had the shield meta where we were doing like double shield and maybe even triple shield. Play around cover. Now we have stop not pinging the enemy, especially if they're flanking. Flanking Reapers with Death Blossom, flanking Pharahs with Barrage, you absolutely need to be pinging these. And for whatever reason, there's so many people who just don't ping. Another hero you always want to be pinging is the Widowmaker. This gives your team a clear idea of what that Widowmaker's line of sight is. Okay, you absolutely need to be pinging. If you have snipers or you have dive heroes, you want to be pinging the supports. You want to be pinging all the time so your team knows where the enemy is. Down to the last two. For this next one, we have stop holding on to your ult too long. So I see a lot of Zenyatas doing this. They're waiting for that big team fight where the enemy team is using 2, maybe even 3 ults, and they're hoping to just completely negate them with the Transcendence. Lucios can do this sometimes as well. You need to stop doing that. I get it, you want that cool play, you want to do a lot with your ult. But sometimes your ultimate is just needed. Sometimes you just need to use it a little bit earlier than you maybe would have liked to. And DPS also do this. So Reapers, Pharahs, holding on to the ult too long, just trying to get that 5k. You're not always going to get the perfect play. The idea is you want to, at the very least, bare minimum, get 1 kill with your DPS ultimates. So make sure you're not holding on to them too long, because you can recycle them. You can use your ult, build it up again, use another one. Lastly, we have give your team callouts. This is so essential. Now, I completely understand if you don't like having to give your team callouts, if you don't like having your mic on. I mean, the Overwatch community can be incredibly toxic, guys. Let's be real here. But just having one person on the team giving callouts, keeping the team organized, calling for those regroups, that is a huge help to overall team cohesion and helps you push in together. Anyways, guys, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like. Make sure to subscribe for more content, and see you in the next one.